Welcome to Friday with me, Karen Karimi. We hope your week has been amazing. On tonight's show, I host a celebrity photographer and creative director whose passion is to see the beauty that Africa has to offer through his lens. He has worked with renowned brands and personalities such as the World Bank, Vodafone, Canon, Sauti Sol, and Red Bull, and so on. Find out who he is later on in the show. But first, the day's highlights. Tonight,
I've been asked today that if I step down, all of this will stop.
Senator Johnson Sakaja presents himself to DCI. This has controversy surrounding his degree credentials rages on. Also tonight,
if taxes are just too high, there's a tendency to evade them. But if they are low and they are manageable, people will pay.
Raila Odinga defends Keroche breweries, wants government to initiate fresh talks over tax row.
If you close a business, you're not only killing the investor, you're also killing the employees.
This as Ruto accused his opponents of witch hunt.
Mimi nataka niwaambie Mumias, hiyo madharau na hiyo kiburi ya hawa watu, mwaka huu tutamalizana na wao, ndio wajue hawajui.
Kumwona tu ilikuwa furaha kwangu.
Families of victims of the Adams Arcade shooting incident narrate their ordeal.
We met the doctor in charge and the nurse. She addressed us and she told us that they tried their best, but Mama's already left us.
Welcome to the program. Anne Wairimo is our sign language interpreter tonight. Now, in our top story, Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja today drove himself to the DCI headquarters, Kiambu Road, to hand in a protest letter to DCI boss George Kinoti. This is as the Office of the Inspector General of Police denied claims that the legislator had been arrested. This as Sakaja accused his opponents of political witch hunt after the DCI allegedly took up the matter in which it is alleged he forged his degree certificate. Chepto Boyd with the details.
Nairobi Senator Johnson Sakaja today presented himself at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation headquarters to allegedly hand in a protest letter to DCI boss George Kinoti.
The end game really is to try and use intimidation and threats of arrest and whatnot. I don't fear that. But let them follow the law. All of those threats, intimidation, I've been asked today that if I step down, all of this will stop. I'm not going to step down. I'm running for governor of Nairobi.
It is alleged that Sakaja had earlier written to the DCI boss seeking clarification on reports doing rounds on social media that he was facing imminent arrest. But the police have since dismissed reports that he, the legislator, had been arrested. Sakaja says he will not be cowed or intimidated to drop his Nairobi gubernatorial bid ahead of the August polls.
The attempts are to paint me as a criminal or a fugitive so that they can install their project in this county of Nairobi.
Our client has not even been told to do a statement. Our client has not even been told of one sentence or any iota of evidence that they have today against him. Today we have asked, who is the complainant? There is no complainant. So the DCI cannot be the complainant. He cannot be the reporter in the media. He cannot be the arrester, and decides at what point he will release our client, at what point he will get our client back or arrest our client.
This as Interior Principal Secretary Karanja Kibicho reprimanded over his claims that President Uhuru Kenyatta is responsible for his woes.
But I will not be derailed from campaigning. I will not be stopped from going out to seek the mandate of the 2.5 million voters of Nairobi. This morning I had very successful meetings at my headquarters, and I had also posted on Facebook that I hear you're looking for me, I am here. You can come or I can come.
Meanwhile, the Commission for University Education has confirmed that Sakaja was a student at Teams University and he graduated in 2017. Sakaja is set to appear before the Commission on Monday. Sakaja will know his fate on Sunday when the High Court rules on the validity of his degree certificate. Chipto Boit, TV 47, Nairobi.
As we speak, Sakaja is holding a press conference at his offices in Riverside. Let's listen in.
Communicates any decision of the CUE, there must be a meeting of the commission, which never happened. Even today, and I wish you'd have asked where are the other commissioners. There's a quorum of 5. That did not take place. But we understand the pressure that he's in. Now, the chairman has now issued a list of requirements, which, of course, on the 6th, I was very ready. If they asked me to provide, I was very ready to provide. The question that we're asking is, in this country, are you guilty and then proven innocent, or are you innocent until you're proven guilty? You cannot revoke and then investigate. You investigate, and then, if you need to, you revoke. When I was there for the whole day, because I was there the entire day on the 6th, I think it was a Monday, none of those questions was asked of me. But today, there are requirements being asked of me, which I'm very ready to, to look at and to provide what the law requires, that have not been asked for any other candidate. Can the CUE as well ask each and every other candidate who has gotten certification to provide the same? There is no set of law for Sakaja and another set of law for the rest of Kenyans. It is manifestly unfair, and I think you can all see the game that is being played. There cannot be 2 sets of rules in this country. If you demand that of me, demand that from all the other Kenyans who have presented themselves for certification before yourself. I was ready to present whatever they require on the 6th, but by convention and by law, because you must say which law are you basing it on. The requirement is to ask their counterpart institution whether this institution is recognized, and then 2, whether that document, the degree certificate I presented, because I've seen people saying just present yourself. I presented the certificate. I presented transcripts. I have the graduation booklet. In fact, it is certified by the issuing university. I have all of those. Anything else that would have been required is by convention or by law or by regulations. So I think what we are seeing, really, from Professor Chacha, who has not told us where the rest of the commissioners are and why the CEO has refused to cave in to this pressure, was what we're seeing definitely is what we spoke about. We are ready to abide by the law. In fact, the matter is before the court. It is actually sub judice for him to then hurriedly call for a press conference at 7 p.m. on a Friday, after there's been all of those things going around in the media, and I think he knows the real genesis and nexus of this matter. I want to assure the people of Nairobi, and I want to assure those who are giving Professor Chacha, who I really sympathize with, all this pressure. I want to assure them that the governor of Nairobi will be elected by the people of Nairobi. The people of Nairobi have rejected projects. The people of Nairobi have rejected to be forced upon a candidate. Today, earlier, I was at the DCI because I saw the headline on the Nation newspaper, a newspaper that is respected in this country. They have run headlines for the last 3-4 days. Even basic journalistic ethics and principles, and you all know, you cannot do a story without looking for a comment from the subject matter of that story. No one has ever asked me for any comment. None of those journalists asked me what is my opinion, but they keep doing those stories. And in that story today, the DCI is reported, and he has not, challenged. And we know the DCI is very quick to challenge when something is wrong, that he has been falsely quoted. And he said that we cannot surrender our city, as he's referring to me, that we cannot surrender our city to fraudsters. and will involve whatever the international organizations. So I want to find out, first of all, if he's a voter in Nairobi and how many votes he has. Because the DCI, that office, is supposed to be non-partisan. It serves all Kenyans. The DCI does not determine who becomes the governor of Nairobi. The people of Nairobi will determine who becomes the governor of Nairobi from a list of candidates who have been cleared and who will be on the ballot. As it stands today, I have been cleared by the IEBC. There is a ruling on the petition. 4 of them were thrown out on Sunday. We will not be moved or intimidated by this game and this charade that is actually going on. So the matter is political, and we shall deal with it politically.
All right.
I will let my lawyers deal with the legal aspects of it. But we shall deal with the political aspects politically. We have unmasked who it is. We have told you what the motivation is, and we have confirmed and timed the credentials that are there. We've confirmed that we qualify and we actually merit and have followed all the checklists in the law to be on the ballot. I think they have realized the only way for their project to win is by me not being on the ballot. I will be on the ballot. I want to assure my supporters.
Johnson Sakaja live at Riverside. This is after the Commission for University Education told the senator to present evidence that he attended Team University in Uganda. He has been requested to present to the commission his graduation photos, his application for the course, the letter of admission from the university, and evidence of registration, including his student ID to prove he actually studied there. Our reporters and media team are on the ground and will be giving you all the latest updates to that story as it emerges. Moving on, the family of victims of the Adams Arcade shopping centre shooting incident are calling for justice just a day after the Directorate of Criminal Investigations disclosed the identity of the mastermind behind the shooting incident. Our reporter Elizabeth Atieno spent time with traders and family members and filed this following report.
In Karen, Nairobi, silence has rented the air in this household, a clear indication that all is not well for those residing here. 29-year-old Eric Kuria welcomes us here. He is the firstborn son of the late 53-year-old Sophia Gadoni, who was shot dead by armed robbers while at her M-Pesa shop at the Adams Arcade Market in Nairobi.
Tukawa tumetulia tu hapa kwa nyumba. Suddenly we received a call, but from the simu ya mom, but from a different person, kuni alert that mama ameanguka hapo job na amerashiwa Nairobi Women Hospital na ni emergency, so we have to rush fast. That process tukifika huko hospitali like 9:40 p.m. We met the doctor in charge and the nurse. She addressed us and she told us that they tried their best, but mama's already left us. Yeah.
Today marks exactly 6 days since the shooting incident at the Adams Arcade Market, which led to the painful and tragic demise of Sophia Gadoni and Paul Githinji. Traders at this market are still reeling in shock as some temporarily closed their shops. Witnesses still recall the gunshots that rented the air on that fateful day.
Vijana walikuwa wamekuja mapema, ni kama walikuwa wanafanya spy, lakini sisi tulisikia mstuko. Hiyo mstuko ilikuwa ya risasi. Sasa ile tulikimbia hapo, tukakuta ni mmoja wetu amepigwa risasi. Hatujaishuhudia kitu kama hii. Hiyo miaka tumekaa hapa hatujaishuhudia kusikia mlio wa risasi. Alafu kusikia watu, kuna watu sasa wanatuandama kama sasa tuko wakati wa siasa.
As we toured the market, we came across this charcoal powder. We are told that the powder was spread here to cover Githinji's blood.
Mzee mmoja wetu anaitwa Paul Githinji na yeye kujaribu kuuliza wako wapi, kumbe walikuwa karibu, wakamshuti na yeye kwa kichwa. Wakitoroka na pikipiki walikuwa nayo.
The late Githinji's shop has since been closed. His neighbors at the market have eulogized him as a generous and kind-hearted man.
Alikuwa tu jirani mzuri sana. Nilikuwa tunampenda sana. Juu saa Kila asubuhi nilipokuwa nakuja hivi, kumwona tu ilikuwa furaha kwangu. Lakini yenye ilifanyika hatukuwa tuna expect.
The late Gathoni will be laid to rest on Wednesday, the 22nd of this month, at her current home.
I'm standing right in front of Sophia Gathoni's shop. It is inside this shop where Sophia was shot by armed robbers on Saturday, 7 p.m. This shop has since been closed. Residents are now calling on the government to come up with measures to ensure that security is beefed up in this market. Elizabeth Atieno, TV 47 from the Adams Arcade Market, Nairobi.
Thank you, Elizabeth, for that report. We now take you live to the Milimani Law Courts, where the IEBC Dispute Resolution Committee will rule whether Safina Party presidential aspirant Jimmy Wanjigi will be allowed to contest in the upcoming general elections or not. Wanjigi had disputed the decision by the IEBC to reject his registration application for not attaching a degree certificate, nomination certificate, and having insufficient supporters. Let's listen in.
And I have seen the smear campaign.
Remedy in short form. The complainant filed an affidavit sworn on 7 June in support of his claim, and annexed thereto a bundle of documents containing the following. I then list the documents attached to the complaint. Okay. Paragraph 19. In light of the grievances raised in their complaint regarding the nomination process, the complainant prays for judgment against the respondent, ultimately directing him to issue the complainant with the nomination certificate for the 9th of August 2022 presidential election. The respondent's case. In response to the complaint, the respondent filed a replying affidavit sworn by Moses Sunkuli, the acting director of voter registration and electoral operation of the IEBC, on the 14th of June 2022 on the authority of the respondent. He swore that he has full knowledge of the facts forming the basis of the present dispute by virtue of the office he holds and by virtue of the fact that he supported the respondent to review the documents presented by the candidates who are seeking to be registered as candidates for the presidential elections. It is Mr. Sunkuli's evidence that the complainant failed in his bid to register as a candidate primarily on 2 grounds. The first being the complainant failed to comply with the legal requirement that a candidate for president must be supported by at least 2,000 supporters from a majority of the counties, and the second being that the complainant lacked the requisite academic qualifications for his nomination and possession of, or rather submission of, a degree certificate by the complainant in respect to his running mate. 23. Mr. Sunkuli deposed that Article 137 prescribes that a person qualifies for nomination as a presidential candidate if that person satisfies the following requirements: is a citizen by birth, is qualified to stand for election, is nominated by a political party, or is an independent candidate, and D, is nominated by no fewer than 2,000 voters from each of the majority of the county.
Our reporter Mwangi Maina is on standby at the Milimani Law Courts and will be giving us the updates as it emerges. Moving on to other stories, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya presidential candidate Raila Odinga now wants the government to initiate talks with Keroche Breweries Company following the tax arrears row. Speaking in Murang'a County, Raila said the company should be allowed to operate, noting that KRA should instead issue new timelines for the company to clear the tax arrears. Chichi Josephine reports.
Speaking during a meeting with the Mount Kenya business community and Mitumba officials, Raila stated that it is unnecessary to shut down Keroche Breweries, considering the number of people the company employs.
Don't close business because somebody has defaulted in paying taxes. Don't do it. Because if you close a business, you're not only killing the investor, you're also killing the employees. That's when I would tell them, let Keroche go. Don't kill Keroche.
Drumming up support for his candidature, Raila promised to reduce the cost of inputs in the agricultural sector, as well as create laws that are favorable for marketing of produce, as well as remove punitive bureaucratic taxation systems.
Endelea kufanya ile reforms ili wakulima waweze kupata haki yao kulingana na jasho yao. Kupunguza gharama ya kilimo ili tufanye smart agriculture. saidia wakulima na vifaa vya kilimo, mbegu za mzuri, mbolea kwa bei ya chini.
The Azimio presidential candidate noted that if a business has defaulted on tax, it should not be closed down because it will not only be killing the investor but also the employees.
Mwambie kama huwezi kulipa leo, lipa kesho. Yeye yako na deni yako na yeye ni Mkenya, atatoroka ataenda wapi? Kama huwezi kulipa leo, usaidia yeye aendelee kufanya biashara ili aweze kulipa. That is how we do business.
According to Azimio running mate Martha Karua, corruption is a barrier that the Azimio government will fight to ensure development and effectiveness of public expenditure.
Kuwa Mkristo sio jina na sio kuingia kanisa, ni vitendo. Ukiwa Mkristo, tenda mambo yako kama Mkristo. Tambueni watu na vitendo, sio vile wanajitangaza sisi ndio nani, sisi ndio nani.
Watu wa mlima ni wanabiashara na wakulima. Wakichungwa kwa mambo ya biashara na mambo ya kilimo wako sawa.
Chichi Josephine, TV 47.
Deputy President William Ruto today returned to the Western region barely a week after he held a political rally at the Buhungu Stadium last Sunday. Ruto, who was accompanied by his Kenya Kwanza co-principals Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula, accused their opponents of political witch hunt, saying they are frustrating leaders allied to the Kenya Kwanza alliance. Violet Auma with the details.
Barely a week after holding a rally at Buhungu Stadium in Kakamega County, Deputy President William Ruto returned to Kakamega, Vihiga and Bungoma counties today, where he continued to drum up support for the bottom-up economic model. According to sources, DP Ruto's sudden visit to Kakamega County was aimed at ending feud between Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala and former Kakamega Senator Boni Halwale. This comes days after Malala and Halwale clashed publicly in a rally in Matungu after Halwale failed to endorse him for gubernatorial seat and has since been campaigning separately until today.
Mukipigia William Ruto, munapigia Cleo Malala. Mukipigia William Ruto, pigia ndugu yangu Boni Halwale kura. Katika Kenya Kwanza tuko na wanaume ama namna gani? Na kidogo zingine tunakosa kuelewana kwa lugha, na hiyo baya ama namna gani?
Na huyu Boni Halwale, na huyu kijana Malala, na hawa viongozi wote munasema tuungane pamoja.
The leaders also fronted an idea of having one coalition candidate ahead of the August polls, a move that was not received well by some candidates.
Jackie Okanya kama jamii, ili tulete uhusiano, tuwe na candidate moja hapa ndio tupate ushindi.
It is unacceptable. The women of this country are tired of hooliganism. Deputy President, I am vying for MP Mumias West and I will not be cowed down. I will represent these women. I'm saying that.
The UDS parliamentary candidate Mumias West Rashid Mohammed and ANC's Jackie Okanya and two women representative candidates under the coalition are yet to reach a consensus on who to fly the Kenya Kwanza's flag in the August polls. They also accused opponents for frustrating leaders affiliated to Kenya Kwanza coalition.
Mimi nataka niwaambie watu wa deep state system, wacheni Sakaja. Kama mko na maneno kujeni mudil na mimi.
Referee amesema ni tarehe 9 mwezi wa 8. Si wakuje kwa kiwanja.
Ruto pledged to revive Mumias Sugar Company and lower cost of living if elected.
Tarehe 9 ukiangusha kura yako unateremsha bei ya unga. Ukiangusha kura yako unateremsha bei ya mbolea. Ukiangusha kura yako unateremsha bei ya mafuta.
Wale wanasema tutembee pamoja.
Violet Auma, TV 47, Kakamega.
Public health officials in Mombasa County are on high alert following the outbreak of the dengue fever. According to reports from Mombasa County's Department of Health, more than 8,000 cases of diarrhea have been reported in a month, with an increase of 400 new cases of dengue fever. Our reporter Petronila Goren with the details.
While addressing the press Friday morning, Mombasa County Chief Officer in the Department of Health, Pauline Oginga, revealed that the increase of dengue fever and diarrhea cases in the county was worrying. According to Oginga, 8,648 cases of diarrhea have been reported in a month, with dengue fever cases rising from 400 to 700.
And one of them that is concerning us right now is the dengue fever cases that have doubled from last month. We are also emphasizing on people going for treatment in public health facilities. The signs and symptoms of dengue fever are similar to malaria. So people present with issues of fever, headache, joint aches, muscle aches. At times there's also sore throat and all that. But we emphasize that people go to the public facilities for confirmation of these cases and prompt treatment.
Oginga says the worrying trend has put the county to task to ensure that stringent measures have been put in place in a bid to ensure they curb the disease.
What we are really advocating for is that during this period of time that we are doing fogging around the county, we ask the residents, because so many people store water in buckets and tanks, that they should cover these containers, because if they are left uncovered, they form a very good breeding site for mosquitoes.
The increase in cases are attributed to laxity in hand washing and maintaining a clean environment. Children are the most affected, with Oginga now calling on the residents to collaborate with the county government in fighting the disease.
Since the measures were lowered, we've seen people, the cases now coming up, and as you know, we're also moving into the flu season. So we're currently requesting residents to emphasize on the need to use safe water for drinking. We are reaching out to partners to see how we can go again and distribute water aqua tabs within the community.
At the same time, COVID-19 cases have increased, with county's positivity rate standing at 4.2%. The county has urged the residents to re-embrace the COVID-19 containment measures. Petronila Goren for TV47 in Mombasa County.
And in sports, with preparations of the World Rally Championship Safari Rally Kenya shifting to high gear ahead of the competition slated to be held on the 23rd to 26th June this year in Naivasha, Nakuru County, 4 domestic drivers have been sponsored by giant telco Safaricom and the national carrier Kenya Airways. Now, the 4 drivers who have been selected for the FIA Rally Star program include Jeremy Wahome, Hamza Anwar, Macri Kimathi and Maxine Wahome, and will receive support of 55 million Kenya shillings annually for the next 3 years from the 2 companies. The support shall not be offered in cash, but instead the companies will facilitate their endeavors in preparations as well as honoring various global competitions. Last year, the 2 companies sponsored Jeremy, Macri and Anwar as they took part in the FIA funded program, with Jeremy and Anwar finishing 16th and 25th respectively in the Safari Rally, while Macri retired at the final stage due to a mechanical problem.
Getting there to the finish, just the final touches that we'll do in Naivasha.
At least we have a bit of experience on the stages. We know what to expect in terms of the terrain. So it's just more so remembering those things, knowing the approach, perfecting it.
And lastly, the national women's volleyball team, Malkia Strikers, earlier today breathed a sigh of relief after receiving a major financial boost from gaming firm Mozart Bet, which sponsored the team on a 1-year deal. Now, Malkia Strikers was scheduled to travel to Brazil on Saturday for a 2-month training camp in preparation for the Volleyball World Championships. However, the team stopped training after it emerged that the government would not fund the trip. The sponsorship deal worth 10 million is meant to support the team in its preparations for various competitions slated for September this year in the Netherlands and Poland. Meanwhile, Malkia Strikers legend Jane Wachu announced her retirement from the national team after 16 years.
Go and participate in the World Championship, though we still have a lot to cover, but at least we are able now to start the training. Because